Welcome back, everyone,
to another week
of your favorite crypto podcast,
Sometimes Crypto
The Unscripted.
Crypto Podcast.
Hey, yo. Excuse the sniffling, the coughing,
And the potential
and the raspy voice,
potential construction noises,
and the potential construction noise. Okay, I am sick, and they are working right across the street from where I live. So,
but
it's a fun bunch of things. We're back after
2 weeks.
After almost 3 weeks of being gone.
A lot's happened. We almost got into World War III. Thankfully, at this point, it looks like we're not in that case. There's been a ceasefire.
Entirely?
Yeah, there's been a ceasefire. Hopefully, it maintains. If you're new here, you know we are anti-war. Always. In general, like just war's outdated.
War's bad.
Defund war.
War is outdated.
Make war non-viable.
That war is too profitable. But that's not the point of this podcast.
Yeah, well, the reason why war is profitable is because we have a monetary system that just allows people to print money to fund those wars. If you can't print money, you can't fund those wars. That's literally how wars are funded.
Well, I didn't mean war profit. I mean like war's profitable for those companies who get paid to.
That's a different story. That's a different story.
Defense companies and then other like construction companies have been paid out in war to rebuild where they've destroyed. Not the point. We're sidetracked.
That is different. That is a different case. They just get paid out because the governments, all of them, print out money to fund the wars that they get into. And crypto fixes the first issue, not the second one.
Correct. So if you would have been looking at crypto and waiting for our response, you would have thought we would have been at 150K. We are not. We're still back at 106,000.
We're holding the line, apparently.
We're just there. Alts are dying, but that's not the point.
Hey, soon.
Bitcoin is not.
Alt season soon, though, because
bro, we've been saying alt season soon for the last 2.5 years at this rate. Alt season was last year in the first quarter.
Well, yeah.
Where I bought everything, and then it went to garbage.
And then he just held it and waited. Well, soon, I think Bitcoin is going to have some potential breakthrough, and that momentum that it will have will eventually pull up all the alts with it. There's even new recent talks of the Omega candle coming in the near future.
What is this? Omega candles now?
Omega candle. You haven't heard of the Omega candle?
What does that even mean?
That's what it is a potential candle, an infamous candle that we are waiting, where Bitcoin moves $100,000 in one single candle. Now, what is this time frame for the candle? I don't know.
What is it? You know how much money that is?
That's an insane amount of money. I agree. But Bitcoin is on track and will eventually reach $1 million price point. And $100,000 candle will just be one of those catalysts for reaching $1 million Bitcoin. Supposedly. These are talks in the communities, not exactly something that I think is likely going to happen, but I'm not saying that it's not impossible either.
I'm not going to say it's impossible, but pretty close.
Yeah, so with talks,
you know what $100,000 move is?
It's a lot. I understand that. That is a lot. But what I'm getting at is that there are talks about Bitcoin ramping up again, or actually breaking through this like consolidation phase that we're in right now. because they're
breaking through
'cause
with a $10,000 candle and a $100,000 candle are not the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree, and I'm not saying that's not the case.
That's a big boy candle.
Big boy candle is that's definitely a big boy candle. I think that's one that we might see
I'll give you,
next cycle.
So you are hopeful you're gonna see a $100,000 candle.
I'm not saying that I'm hopeful. I'm saying that it's possible. And if we do see it, we're likely not seeing it this cycle.
Definitely, probably more like no.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. But people are talking about it. And what I'm alluding to is the fact that Bitcoin should eventually break this consolidation period, where it recently dropped down to, what was it, 98,000 for like 2 minutes? Which pissed me off because I was looking for Bitcoin to drop below 100,000. But
it dropped to 98.
You see,
for like 10 seconds.
And my price point was 97. I was like, oh, if it reaches 97, it's a time to buy. It's a good deal. However, maybe you could help me determine if this is logical or irrational. Or rational or irrational. I tend not to place purchase orders or limit orders or set out things in the future, because I feel like that gets logged and tracked anyways, and like adds certain amount of weight to the market. So like if I put purchase orders,
your order, okay, make it simple. Your order doesn't matter.
Irrelevant. Okay.
Your specific one is irrelevant.
So irrational thinking then.
It's not. It's like traders. I never thought this for the most part. The market does what it does. But it's like traders who think they're hunting their stop loss. The market makers are the ones who are pushing price up or down. It's irrational. It's
irrational. Okay. Just that's why I'm asking, because like it feels like it makes sense, but it also feels like it doesn't make sense.
Okay, so better yet, it's not irrational. It's just like your order is irrelevant.
It's irrelevant. Yeah. So the reason why I'd say it would be irrational is because the amount of weight that my order has within the grand market
is zero.
So small that it's practically zero.
But yes,
where it's not gonna.
There are orders of upwards of $150 million.
And just for clarification, what I'm saying is, if I were to say, oh, I want to buy Bitcoin at $97,000, that like request to purchase gets put out there, and people will be like, oh, he's willing to buy it for 97. How about we just don't sell it for 97, but for a little bit more, like 98 or 99, and then like it's like, oh, that's like his lowest price for purchasing Bitcoin, or his highest price, 97. So like, what if someone else, supply demand market like stuff, where someone else just kind of like outbids? Make sense?
That is a solid thought.
That's like,
but it's just not your specific order. You'll just be placed in a pool of other orders
around the same
that are also at that same price level.
Yeah,
you're just adding to that big number.
Doesn't actually mean anything.
And whether or not that number is big enough to really either cause market makers or algorithms to push down or a little bit above it is
irrelevant.
Is the difference.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna start placing those prices.
You should always say your limit orders. Always be aware that they may not always get filled, just because there's not enough Bitcoins out there to be purchased at that specific price range. Typically on Coinbase, that doesn't happen too often.
A liquidation.
They're the ones who provide it.
Like liquidation. There's not that much liquidity available to fulfill your order. Like there is
your order or everyone's
there is
order,
like
right?
there is like an order book. So like whoever placed the order first, whoever's in the top of the list will get their order placed first.
Yeah, among other variables.
Yeah,
variables.
Correct.
Yes,
correct.
100%.
That's why some people place their purchase orders or limit orders at certain prices and they don't get filled. It's like, oh, I saw this happen and my order didn't go through. What happened?
Yeah, and sometimes price itself just moves so fast that doesn't give it a chance to get filled.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it does get filled or it gets triggered, you're not buying it at the price you set. You're buying it either a little. You might buy it more expensive than what you set it at, depending on how fast price is moving.
Yep, makes sense. So,
yeah,
want to get into some news?
Yeah, I think before we can talk crypto and stock market, let's go get into the news.
So,
where do you want to start?
I love how we both want to ask each other the same question. Always.
This should be debated beforehand. We just never do. Okay, I think we should talk about Ledger first.
Okay, I was kind of on the same boat
because that's the one we both have basically in common, apart from one more.
Yeah, in terms of stories.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah. So you sent me an interesting post yesterday. I did read up into it.
But before we get into that, just so everyone's aware, we are recording Friday, the 27th, early in the morning. So whatever happens after this time zone, time, I don't know.
Okay, and how is this related to? Why is that disclosure related to the Ledger?
Because the news came out yesterday.
It came out last night.
Yesterday. So there could be more news coming out today. Maybe they changed words, and so what they're going to support or not support, we don't know.
Yeah. So essentially, the Ledger Nano S, Ledger's first product that came out. What was it? 2000 and it's 9 years old.
16.
Yeah. Yeah, 9 years old. Has very limited memory constraints, as in there's not a lot of memory at all on the device. And the chief technology officer for Ledger pretty much came out saying, yeah, we will no longer be providing support. They'll be phasing out the Ledger Nano S updates.
They'll be doing essentially what all companies do from their oldest product.
Yeah.
They'll be slowly phasing it out.
Yeah. Well, they've already phased it out, actually. So the Ledger Nano S has not been available for purchase since 2022.
I was going to say phase out support for it.
Support, correct. Yeah. They're no longer...
Because they phase out the selling of the product, but they haven't phased out the support for the product. Like phones. Your phone, at one point, you bought it here. At one point, it will no longer get updates.
Yeah. They will stop selling it first, and then they'll stop giving it updates.
Supporting it a few years down the road.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, something like this starts a lot of turmoil. The reason why they're doing it is because of the memory limitation for the Ledger, which is very accurate. There is a pretty massive memory limitation. There's about 320 kilobytes of space within the Ledger Nano S, and that's only enough for the actual Ledger operating system and 2, maybe 3 blockchains. So
and depends which blockchain.
Yeah, and it depends. Yeah, so you might only be able to store one crypto asset on the Ledger Nano S. But for example, you could do Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP on the Ledger Nano X, assuming that those do not take up more than 320 kilobytes of space.
More than likely, you're safe with 2 tokens for the most part. Those will definitely more than likely hold. But
yeah, but the issue
is if you can't hold more. Put it simple: if you're spending on a hard wallet an X amount of money, on the Nano S, you're only gonna be able to hold max 2 tokens.
Yeah. So, and then additionally, the main issues that the CTO of Ledger is saying is that due to this memory constraint, there is very limited security updates and patches that they could send out to the Ledger Nano S for the increasingly complex risk field for smart contract enabled blockchains. Because there are a plethora of ways that crypto blockchains wallets can get, not blockchains, but wallets can get hacked. And the memory constraint is obviously a big issue for the Ledger Nano S in terms of being able to support patches for those vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
Now, the question
So
is,
I. Mm-hmm.
will you stop being able to store crypto assets on your Ledger Nano S once they finish providing support? I don't know if you're going to say something before.
No, I was gonna wait till your.
Yeah, because I was like, let me just give him a question and see if he answers it and picks.
So yeah, I was gonna respond. So the CTO
Mm-hmm.
of Ledger did did make a thread. It's on his Twitter. It was posted 23 hours ago. A whole thread. So he wrote, still using a Ledger Nano S. He goes, you don't need to move your crypto. Your 24 word phrase equals your wallet. Your wallet remains portable and in your control. You can restore it at any time on a new Ledger or any BIP39 compatible device. If your Ledger Nano S powers on and your 24 word security recovery phrase is safely backed up, your assets remain secure and accessible.
Yep. Which answers my question. So the answer is yes, your assets will still be available even after support is ended.
So I think the better thing is they may be supported, but you may, because the thing is, will you be able to use your Ledger Nano S to send and receive from within the Ledger Live application after support has gone away from it?
Within the Ledger
Which
Live,
is that what we're not sure of.
Yeah, correct. That's the only thing I have.
Because what that basically says is, because the way I interpret that is, you'll be able to purchase a new Ledger or a new BIP39 compatible device, and you'll be able to transfer your wallet to that new device.
Mm-hmm.
But that does not, in the way I read it, is it does not guarantee the use of the Ledger Live.
Yeah,
application.
You will not be able. Yeah, so that's kind of like the concern right now. It is cool. The wallet itself could still store your assets and not be vulnerable. However, if you want to send the asset out of the wallet or out of the wallet, you will essentially need to either purchase a new, BIP 319?
Yeah.
A compatible cold storage wallet or cold storage wallet, and send it out to that, or not send it out, but use your recovery phrase to get into that, to give that wallet that new device access to your wallet. Correct. And part of the issue with this is that the concern that people have on the internet is that this can lead to potential phishing attacks or issues where putting it in your wallet, your seed phrase, again, unnecessarily is cause for concern, because your seed phrase is like the keys to the kingdom. And the more often you need to use the keys, the more vulnerable they become. And essentially trying to log into this new wallet, new device, it will increase your attack vectors, vulnerabilities, just for that time period being, specifically when the action's done.
I mean, a little pushback, yes, but that would happen to you if it breaks.
Also true.
Right?
Yep.
But I guess it's just like the growing pains of changing.
Yeah.
Of being forced to change at some point.
Yeah, that's the issue. Because if it breaks, that's on you. That's your fault. But in this case, Ledger's forcing you, essentially, to do this action. And if you're being forced, that's like the part that people don't like. But unfortunately, that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes.
I'm going to break everyone's feelings. It's like when the iPhones went from that really big 32 or like 64 port charger to Lightning, everyone freaked out because everyone had like 1,000 chargers of the old ones.
Yep.
It's the same thing.
Essentially, yeah.
It's the same thing with the headphone jack. The difference is there is a sense of higher risk since you do have to be willing to move your assets to a new device.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe people haven't done it before.
Yeah, so I do want to correct myself a little bit because I did say cold storage wallet, but it just has to be BIP 319 compatible. And there's software wallets that are available that are BIP 319 compatible. Essentially meaning like you could download some random software on the internet that says, "Oh, this is a BIP."
To correct you, it's BIP 39.
Oh,
no one.
39.
BIP 39.
Oh, I thought you said 319.
No.
Okay. So the issue is there are BIP 39 compatible wallets out there. There are not cold storage wallets, software wallets. So someone could download a malicious program off the internet that might potentially just leak those private keys when being entered. So essentially, the biggest issue right now is the acquiring of a safe and secure wallet, software like program, not the actual wallet itself. Like the keys, you have the keys, but getting a program where you could put the keys in or a cold storage wallet is kind of where there's the issue, the vulnerability. Brief, but still there, present.
I also do think it shouldn't be too hard for them just to keep the sending and receive feature like safe and protected. Yeah. I don't think it would be too expensive to do so.
I don't even think it's an issue of being expensive or not. I just think that at some point the Ledger Live program itself won't be upgradable for certain people if they're using the Ledger Nano S. Like support for the Ledger Nano or for the Ledger Live software would
to connect to that.
Yeah, would come to an end also.
Will be the bottleneck.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's all true. Because then it would put your
software,
the actual at risk of an attack.
Yeah, the Ledger now it's the Ledger Live program that's vulnerable due to it not being upgradable. Not that it's not receiving support, it's just not compatible with your device.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, it's the way the cookie crumbles.
Time to find a new cold storage wallet, I suppose, if you use the Ledger Nano S.
Yeah, which I did see some posts that say the majority of people who probably got in between 2021 and 2023 probably have Nano S's since that's what people were recommending back then.
Pretty much. Yep. Well, there's also, if you're Bitcoin's heavy, Bitcoin specific. I don't know if it's Bitcoin specific, but Cold Card has a lot of different options for cold storage. I actually have. I haven't set this up yet, but this is cool. The OpenDime, where this right here.
Not a sponsor of the podcast, by the way.
Not a sponsor, but it's a small USB that pretty much does cold storage for Bitcoin, but stored here and pretty much acts as cash to a degree where I won't be able to pull it out of this wallet. If the only way for me to spend this Bitcoin would be to give someone the actual USB.
It's a one-time spend, right?
Yeah, it's like a one-time spend. Because once I hand off the USB, I'll never see it again.
Yeah, but apart from that, you can't also just put it in every time you want to pull out.
Yeah, you could fund the wallet itself as much as you want, but you can't just pull out, like, let's say $10 or $100 or $1,000.
It's not. It's a one-time use type of wallet.
Yeah. And that's not the only product that they offer. Again, they're not sponsored, but they have some cool stuff. Just giving, since we're on the topic, I figured, and they're top of mind, I figured might as well share some details.
Yeah. Yeah, because also if you like, there are more expensive. Like now, it's not like when the Nano came out. That do you know the original price of the Nano?
I don't remember. Not off the top of the dome.
Give me a second.
Searching it up
Real quick, because also I was gonna say that probably when it came out, yeah. So a Nano S when it first came out was $65, but now like their cheapest option is like $110 for a wallet.
Yeah.
Mind you, they also have better screens. They also have more memory and all that. So I guess I can see why it raises the cost. Do I think it's justifiable to that? I don't know. I'm not in their business knowing what is their profit margins on these things.
Yeah.
But it is interesting. It's a growing pain.
Like,
I think more companies will probably start phasing things out. The older products phased out as the market continues to evolve.
well, like one of the bigger things, specifically to address what you said, it's like the Ledger Nano S had 3 blockchains they could support at max, while any of Ledger's new products can support over 150, for example. And it's just a number off the top of the head. I can't say it specifically, something like that, but it's around those fields. So you
can hold way more.
yeah,
now.
you can hold whatever amount of crypto assets, different crypto assets you want, including NFTs, for example, on different blockchains.
Yeah.
And then you said, so again, that pretty much sums it all up for Ledger. People are upset about this, of course. And
Everyone's going to be upset. Everyone's always upset.
so you said we had 2 stories that were alike,
Or we didn't?
or I think we only had
No,
the
we
one.
didn't. Never mind. We only had the one.
Yeah. So the other thing that I have is about ARK Invest, Kathy Wood's investment firm.
The greatest investor of our generation. That's a joke.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if that's accurate. I don't think that is. But ARK Invest recently sold, and I say recently as in like either was it last night or this morning? Recently sold their shares in Coinbase, or specifically 33,363,000 shares. Valued at about $12.5 million.
Why do I feel like that's a fumble?
Well, I don't know why you feel that that's a fumble. Essentially, I think Coinbase has been up like 40% or something ridiculous like that in the past month.
It is.
Yeah, 5.5% on like Thursday alone. 27.
Nah, Alex, it's
What? 51%
since.
year to date.
I'm sorry. No, I was gonna say since June 17th,
June.
pretty much. It's up like 40%.
Oh, so damn, that's like 10 days.
Yeah, since just that time alone, it's up at that amount.
Mm-hmm.
Respectfully, it's up about 50% actually.
Yeah, 50%. So, yeah, so they sold off a lot of their shares, as well as some shares from $12.3 million worth of Block Inc.
Mm-hmm.
But you see, like, I don't know. I feel like my numbers might just not be the same anymore. Like, since like I've been desensitized to such large numbers as of late, because 12.3 and 12.5 million dollars worth of assets does not sound like a crazy amount of money anymore.
Mind you, we're desensitized to numbers we ourselves do not have.
Yeah, That's very true. But like, this is a major investment firm that is well known for the most part with people within tech, and like that's $12.5 million. I feel like
Yeah, it's not a whole lot of money.
I feel like it would have been something along the lines of like 100 or 75 million. I feel like 12 is on the smaller
Okay, big
sides.
boy.
I don't know.
I think
but
you're. I think that's a lot of money. I think if
That's what I'm saying. That's like a lot.
20, 30.
Okay, 2030. Also, that'd be more like, okay, they're offloading some. I feel like 12.5 million, they've barely offloaded any. But then again, I actually think about it now, don't know exactly how many shares they hold.
Yeah, so I think the question comes down to how much they hold. Because Kathy Woods is notoriously known for selling early
Yeah, that's
or
pretty-
selling way too late.
not essentially selling at the wrong time.
Yeah, but I think typically it's early because I think she sold Tesla early.
Yeah,
It's
it's
usually
usually
another stock I forget the name of.
I do remember it being early.
Yeah. So I mean, right now, like it, like I have had Coinbase charted out for ages now. She sold at the previous all-time high, expecting it to reject. I assume, like they expected it to like not continue to go up from there. Which, as of right now, they are right. It's coming down. The question is, how low will it go? Right? Will it fully retrace all the way back down like it did a couple months ago? Like, well, back in like last year, like it pumped up all the way back to near all-time highs and then came back all the way back down and then went back all the way again now. So maybe she's expecting to come back at least halfway or all the way from what's just done. We'll see. Because Coinbase also just announced,
I'm like opening up
a
this website.
perpetuals style trading. Okay.
Perpetual style trading.
Yeah, so like futures.
Okay, I tried opening up a website and it was giving me so much crap. Like it was really bad. I'm just gonna send you the link to see if you open it up.
I am the link master.
Yeah, essentially. William opens up all the tabs over here.
Well, I can open it. I probably won't be able to share with you without having you freeze, by the way.
Yeah, that's true. I just want you to pretty much confirm more or less what I was kind of reading while the page was trying to load, but I was like also not hearing what you were saying. It looked like ARK recently sold, like about 3 days ago, which I didn't see, $110 million worth of Circle shares.
After it IPO'd?
Yeah, after the IPO.
I mean, Circle's sitting at $201 from its opening price of $63.
Damn. I told Robinhood to notify me when that happened, and they did not, and I felt like I missed the train for that one.
I mean, it's also one of those things that happens so fast.
Mm-hmm. It did happen fast, but I was aware of it IPOing like 3-5 days before it did. It's just I don't really trade stocks like that. I don't trade really anything like that, so I'm like missed it. And then
Okay, so this article you just sent me says ARK Invest continues to dump Circle shares and buys Robinhood and Coinbase.
yeah, so they bought like $1.5 million of Coinbase, I think is what I saw.
So ARK also bought 4,198 shares of Coinbase worth about 1.3 million and about 319,000 shares of Robinhood worth about 24 million. And they just say they're continuing to take profit on Circle.
So to put that into perspective, I suppose they bought $1.3 million in shares of Coinbase after selling some Circle stocks 3 days ago, and Coinbase is up. How many percent? Well, what's the percent that Coinbase is up in the past 3 days? Well,
50?
no, 3 days, 50%.
Oh, I don't know.
But It was like 20% in the 20% in the past 5 days. 27%. Give or take. These are all give or take numbers right now. But they made 27%, let's say 15% of that 1.5 mil. They made a pretty penny on that one sale. Quick in and out trade.
Yeah, no, they have a heavy investment in circles.
Well, I'm talking about specifically Coinbase.
Oh,
Yeah, because like, so they bought, just to make my words clear and concise, ARK Investment bought $1.3 million worth of shares in Coinbase earlier this week, approximately Monday or Tuesday.
I think it says Monday.
Monday, yeah. ARK Investment bought $1.3 million of Coinbase shares on Monday and sold 12.5 million dollars worth of shares in Coinbase on Wednesday. Assuming, so how many, does that article by any chance say how many shares of Coinbase they bought?
It was like, yeah, it did. Yeah, it does. Give me a second. Let me look for it real quick. I think that was in the second paragraph or the front. Yeah, I think it was the second paragraph. Let me see. Boom, 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 boom. 4,198 shares of Coinbase.
Okay, yeah. So they sold 33,000 shares yesterday, Thursday. But essentially, ARK Investment bought 4,000 shares, approximately 4,000 shares of Coinbase on Monday, and sold those 4,000 shares, approximately 4,000 shares, on Thursday, and made $200,000 in a week.
That's not a whole lot of money to a company that size, though.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they're able to pay someone's salary off.
Well, mind
Not
you, that's
even.
just the Coinbase, but they also did buy Robinhood.
They bought Robinhood.
Way more
Yeah,
Robinhood.
and mind you, they also sold way more Coinbase shares as well.
Yeah.
Like, they sold 33,363 shares on Thursday, as well as 189,649 shares of Block, which is Jack Dorsey's company for Square.
Yeah, so it definitely does look like they're trying to free up some capital.
Correct. Because they've offloaded a lot of Circle's IPO.
Yeah. I mean, they are. I also, mind you, when companies like ARK and investment companies IPO, for the most part, they do sell
Yeah, that's where
either all or a portion of that IPO.
A good portion,
like, that's
yeah.
their goal.
Yeah. That's where they make their money.
Yeah. That's like, we've held this company for like 5 years. It's time to profit out of this.
Yep.
Well, mind you.
So yeah, I just thought that was interesting. I'm not sure what else you had.
I think it's almost here.
I have another company related thing. I don't know if yours is
What
more
company?
market. So Alex Attila. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, Alex. Which I'm not normally sorry for that because I don't know people's names and I don't know people. But this guy is a co-founder of OpenSea, the online NFT open marketplace. He recently raised $40 million for a new AI startup. Wow, we're seeing a trend for AI hype, I suppose.
And startups.
Yeah. So AI startup. This AI startup is called OpenRouter. Kind of
What a name.
kind of similar to OpenSea, but router. And
Okay.
with this startup, I just want to point out that I'm kind of on it most of the time. I'm like on point with where I think markets are gonna go, or like not market specifically, but a product market fit, and like where certain necessities need to be developed or things need to. And OpenRouter is fixing the main issue that I've been saying about about not OpenAI, but like AI in general. And their idea is to kind of decentralize it a little bit. And it's not so much decentralizing AI models themselves, but more so decentralizing your request. So as in, if on OpenRouter, the idea is to be able to put in a prompt for within OpenRouter, and OpenRouter will route you to the most ideal AI model to use for your prompt, either based off of different parameters, as in suitability, cost, speed, accuracy, or privacy. And it's kind of in the direction of what I'm mentioning about decentralized AI. However, this is just more so creating the marketplace for multiple AIs, which is important infrastructure to have for what I think is the ultimate end goal.
So they're not necessarily creating an AI.
They're not. Yeah, they're not necessarily creating an AI itself. They're creating infrastructure for AI. It's to act like a marketplace for these language learning models, and route your prompts to the ideal model.
Okay.
Yeah, so they will have.
So he will get the best results for what your question is, or whatever.
Yeah, it will either be the best result. It and this kind of depends on the actual individual and what they're looking for. I want something fast. I want something accurate. I want something cost effective, or something that's super private, as in like I don't know, everything's encrypted and anonymized.
So they will need to use like licensing agreements then.
They will definitely, they will definitely have some type of like API of sorts,
and a paid program.
Yeah,
because this wouldn't be cheap.
Yeah, so there is so this guy raised $40 million, and Andreessen Horowitz, as well as
put 20.
I don't have the amount that they put in, but they did put in money. It was Andreessen Horowitz and Menlo Ventures, that were like pretty much in the seed phase funding for this. But one of the partners said, AI stacks are fragmenting. OpenRouter is unifying them with one API, one contract, and industry-leading uptime. Exactly the kind of infrastructure play that defines new categories. So this partner from Andreessen Horowitz was essentially saying, it's like there's so many AI models out there, Anthropic, OpenAI, Gemini, Meta's
ChatGPT.
That's OpenAI.
You said OpenAI. My fault. I
Meta, Google, yes, whatever. 100%. There's literally a bunch of them. So this is just creating that
saturation is coming.
Well, that's kind of good in general, because it prevents monopolies and major, like, just individuals. Like, I think personally, end goal would be small companies, individuals. Like, let's say me, for example. I would set up a server, a cluster of computers that runs a local AI model, and I just offer that out to the open internet, saying, hey, if you want an AI model that meets whatever requirements I think is suitable for the market, I have it available at this price. Go ahead and use the AI thing. And that's kind of what this OpenRouter is doing to a degree. It's like, oh, so there's 1,000 Alexes running their own locally hosted AIs. Let's let's create a marketplace of sorts for these AI models.
Interesting to see how it will work implemented.
So I have some more information here that I just kind of like put into the notes. I didn't really read it because I was like, if I could read it later. But essentially, I'll just read it. It's another quote, actually. they'll be implementing this thing called inferences, where inferences is the, and this is the quote, inferences is the fastest growing cost for forward-looking companies, and it's often coming from 4 or more different models. The sophisticated companies have run into these problems already and built some sort of in-house gateways, but they're utilizing that makes LLMs just work isn't an easy problem. They're ripping out homegrown solutions and bringing up OpenRouter so they can focus on their demand-specific problems and not in LLM integrations. So OpenRouter co-founder and CEO Alex Atala said, this round lets us keep shipping at the speed developers expect while delivering the uptime, privacy, and IT guarantees that enterprises demand. So this product is geared more towards developers and using this inferences that it's like a credit that they use to try to see which AI model is best for their needs without the actual developer having to be like, oh, I'm using Claude today, or I'm using Gemini, or it's like, okay, and just trial and error by blindsiding it. They'll be using these inferences. It's like some type of algorithm that they'll be using, that OpenRouter will be using.
So it'll have to use its own AI to figure out which AI to use.
Potentially. But yeah, and that's about everything that I have company wise for this week's episode. So I wanted to put that out there before, in case you went away into like more open market stuff.
Yeah. So this isn't a company. Well, I guess I have one more company thing then. I saw that GameStop did a convertible notes thing, similar like what Microsoft does. I mean, not Microsoft, Michael Saylor and Strategy do.
Mm-hmm.
They are sitting on a stockpile of cash like I've never seen before. $9.1 billion they're just sitting on.
$9.1 billion is an
Does that include their $500 million investment in Bitcoin? And their total market cap is $10.4 billion.
Their total market cap is $10.4 billion?
Yep. And the majority of that's in cash.
Yeah, that's the 90% of it is in cash. Well, I'd say
90+%.
I'd say 96%, really.
Yeah, probably.
90.
It's give or take. It's more than 95.
Yeah.
Yeah.
9.1, 9. Yeah, 96. I'd say 96% is in cash. If I'm not, if my math's mathing.
And they're speculating that, well, market is speculating, or analysts are speculating that GameStop's core operations are in danger because of not sufficient reinvest. Like, they're not putting the money to work back into the company. Like, it seems like they are at a I don't know what to do.
It seems
situation.
It seems more like I'm a switch my business model up real quick situation.
Yeah,
because that's a lot of money.
But the thing is, I don't. Yeah, but the thing is where. Yeah, just cash. It's like what. So yeah, so it does look like they could be like switching the business model to something else.
The question is, what are they going to do?
What are they gonna do? Like, just become a Bitcoin treasury like Michael Saylor and move away completely from games?
I hope not.
Because also it puts to like,
well, they're gonna have to change the name.
How profitable are they? Yeah. So it's just interesting that they have that much money just there, and there isn't a clear path on what they're going to do with it.
Yeah, well, the reason why I hope they don't change their business model to the same thing the strategy does is because, like, you mentioned this before, it goes against the ethos of Bitcoin. It's like self-custody. Yeah. Not your keys, not your coin. Not your keys, not your coin. Gotta say that every single time we get the opportunity, because it's all about self-sovereignty. Be the owner of your actual money. Participate in the money. Don't let someone else manage it or take care of it for you, because they will eventually rob you.
Fair enough. But yeah, so like it's just like they don't. It from the looks of it, they just have so much money they don't know what to do with their business. Like they don't have the next business move.
That is true. It does seem,
and I'm sure they're frantically trying to figure that out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because at some point,
I just thought that was crazy.
At some point, their business model is not going to be able to. Their businesses are not going to be able to bring in money like at any rate. Like it will just be slow. So they do need to probably diversify into something new. Crazy amount of money to hold in cash, because including Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is essentially better than cash and equal.
Luckily, they could be without making profit for a few.
Yeah,
the stock price would go down, but they have enough cash to hold over the business for a little bit until they figure something out. Yeah. But they do need to work on that quick, and I'm sure they know that.
Well, there's also like the legal requirement that they need to provide returns on for their investors.
Also,
so if they're not making money, like they're not
fiduciary
doing,
duty.
they're not doing anything for their investors. So yeah, they do have that fiduciary duty, and that's kind of their ticking time bomb.
So they feel pressure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is the big news of the week, in my opinion. This changes everything.
So this is at the end of the episode. You got to make sure you stick around to find out what this big news is, because this is best for last. Apparently, I don't know where. I don't even know.
So this came out. Yes.
I don't even know what you're about to say. Let's see.
This came out about 2 days ago. Is Bitcoin news breaking? Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have been ordered to prepare to count cryptocurrencies as mortgage assets. They wrote, "Thank you, President Trump, for making the USA a crypto capital of the world," U.S. Federal Housing Director said. Give me 1 second.
You guys got an alarm going off in the background. That's crazy, though. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
It was the phone ringing, and I was just closing the door. Correct. So, for those who don't know, this is, as we like to talk about here with big numbers, a $7.1 trillion company. Assets under management, pretty much.
Yeah, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. If you're older than 25, you should know what that is.
They essentially are the loan providers for the housing. They're essentially the government housing loan providers.
Yep, pretty much sums it up.
They don't provide the loans for the government, but they're the ones who give the FHA loans to those who are looking to qualify for a 3% down and lower interest and all that good stuff. They're essentially the ones you go to buy your first home in the U.S.
Yep.
And they've been told, prepare for cryptocurrencies to be an asset that you need to count towards the mortgage.
Lovely.
Of this.
That's great news for me and other people holding Bitcoin, because I don't have enough Bitcoin to buy a house, unfortunately, as most people are also likely on the same boat. But Bitcoin is technically still part of my portfolio. So,
but you do have enough Bitcoin
to be able
to get a loan against it.
To be able, yeah,
to get a loan.
If I could put it into and account it as part of my portfolio, then yeah, I could use it as some collateral of sorts. So
of course,
that is big news.
They were just told to prepare, so there isn't a whole lot of insight on how it's gonna go, but there are speculations already on
some concerns.
You're more than likely gonna need
some concerns. Speculations with concerns. What? Like, continue. I'm just
Oh, I meant more so like there's already speculations on the requirements needed to have your cryptocurrency, like to have your crypto count towards these assets.
Mm-hmm.
So from what I've seen and read, some of them are going to be, you have to hold the crypto on a centralized exchange. They're going to devalue the asset when you go to put it up. So if it's worth 100, they're going to probably devalue it about 20 or 30%. So if you have 100, they're only going to count 70. You'll probably more than likely have to have it insured to some degree against hacks and other things that can happen, as they would other assets that they're putting up against for collateral. And then they'll look at ROI, a whole bunch of other shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's huge.
We're getting there.
That's huge. That's massive. That's essentially that's the government supporting Bitcoin for balance sheets, like collateral on property purchases.
Correct.
Now, I say that's huge because that will open up liquidity, like reason for people to want to have Bitcoin. But think about it a little bit. Kind of seems like it's also a potential ploy, and I say ploy, but it's just nature of the beast, for the government to find a way to gather more Bitcoin, because most people are not financially literate, unfortunately, and if you're buying it in Bitcoin, you might actually be financially literate, but concern is some of these deals, these loans go belly up and that Bitcoin gets liquidated, or something happens with the market where the Bitcoin gets liquidated, and
there is no liquidation here.
There is no. What do you mean? There's no liquidation?
Liquidation would mean that the asset would have to go down below a certain value for it to be sold. I don't think that's the case in this situation.
So that's more. It's definitely part of the case of sorts.
No,
because again, you did say that no terms have been released. This is just a new update, like as in they are preparing for this eventuality. But the reason why I say it is likely going to be a factor of sorts is because if the price of Bitcoin goes down a certain amount and it's used as collateral for a loan on a property, then
it's not collateral.
Oh,
that's the thing. It's not collateral. You're not collateralizing it. It's counting as an asset you own, and you're putting up that you own this asset to get this loan. So it's not collateralized in the same way you as other loans.
So it's just being accounted for, like it's part of your.
It's being Yeah, it's not collateralized in the same way. Like it's not the same sort of collateralization.
I don't. Okay. I mean. Okay.
It's not the collateral that it can be. It's gonna get.
It's just right? Being used to approve or deny you the actual loan itself. It's not so much being used as like an asset that's being used as collateral, like actual collateral. It's just more so like make sure you account this for within their net worth.
So like I wrote. So these will be some of the, like, apart from requirements, so like integration into mortgage qualification, so down payment and reserves. Crypto could be used to meet the down payment requirements or reserve funds, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Example: 6 months of mortgage payments. So the crypto itself could count for that 6 months if it's needed.
Mm-hmm.
Just because the price itself goes down. Remember, if you're giving up half of a Bitcoin, it's worth $100,000. It's $50,000 of that mortgage payment.
Mm-hmm.
So the price drop would be insane. And also, mind you, at some point, if you're paid above an X amount, like it's not the first year site, like it changes over time, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
The next one would be, for instance, a $30,000 home with a 20% down payment. The 60 could be partially or fully funded by the crypto assets subject to the valuation haircut. Next one would be debt to income ratio. The FAA might exclude crypto income from DTI calculations unless it's constantly realized through staking or regular sales, reflecting current conservative lending practices.
Can you say that? Can you say that one more time?
The FHFA might exclude crypto income from the debt to income ratio, except if it's through staking or regular sales of the assets.
Okay.
So example would be if you have 2,000 Solana staked and it pays out every month and it's enough to count as income.
Yeah.
And it's significant, it can help you get that loan approved.
Yeah.
It boosts you up.
Yeah.
Then the next one is like loan to value adjustment. Higher crypto reliance might lead to stricter LTV ratios, etc. 80% instead of 95%. I mean 80%. Yeah, 80% mitigate. Yeah, it's wrote it wrong. Yeah, 95% instead of the 80%.
Yeah.
To mitigate lender risk.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah. It was written backwards. Yeah, my fault.
Okay. No. Okay, I see what you mean. It's just they're just preparing frameworks in general.
Yeah, it's too speculative. Like
there's
I'm
a
not
lot of
saying
things,
you can't get 100% liquidated.
but there is definitely the opportunity. There's like too many things that they're going to be working on right now. It's still early on for this development. That's actually really cool though, because there are a variety of things that are being discussed, and that's good because that gives us options into what is the best for our circumstances as individuals. Very good.
Yeah. Also, mind you, there are 1,000 types of loans. There's so many loans. You can get an interest only loan. You pay it at the end. You can get a variable interest loan that you pay that the interest changes over time. So we don't know to what category they're going to put this and how many options of these types of loans are they going to give. So there's a lot of wiggle room.
There's a lot
until they start.
Yeah, I'd agree. There does appear to be a lot of wiggle room.
So to your point, there might be a loan that there is a liquidation price. But there could be a loan that there isn't.
Correct. Yeah, no. With a lot of the things like you said, like just that staking one, the regular income, loan to income to debt ratio, that's like that's the opposite of what I was thinking of. It's just more so like, how much money are you making, and is it regular? Cool, because that's a thing that's looked at. It's like, oh, your monthly payment is $3,000 for your mortgage, but you're only making $4,000, yeah, you will not apply. Even though you have enough money to pay 80% of the house or 60% of the house, you'll be like, yeah, you can't afford this house because you can't afford the monthly payment. You can't afford a $3,000 monthly payment if you're only making $4,000 a month. Crazy.
Yeah, but there will be custody requirements. There will probably be insurance, anti-money, the whole shebang, of course.
But still, honestly, great news. I think you're accurate in your statement that you said that this is the big stuff of the week.
It's big news.
That's actually
real
really
big
cool.
news.
Yeah. Really big news, and I'm glad that this is what's being worked on right now.
Yeah, and as for crypto, Bitcoin's just holding 106,000 still. It did drop to 98. We broke the downtrend. We're creating a new small downtrend that we're waiting to break out of. Next big resistance, well, breaking all-time high would be above 112,000 pretty much. Still got some time from there, but we don't know what's going to happen yet. Market is shaky. Crypto market. Stocks are doing really well. Like S&P is in an all-time high.
The S&P 500.
So,
SPY.
All-time high. Yeah. So what I will like to mention is this is more important So Bitcoin went right back up to that 65.98%, basically 66%
Dominance.
Bitcoin dominance.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to. It rejected the same place it rejected last time. So our two options: it continues the rejection, or it finds supports in these high 60s, and then continues to push up to that 70%. Which, if it does, don't look at your alts.
Yeah, don't look at alts.
Just don't look at. Just don't, because it's gonna suck. There are other charts that, if you exclude stable coins from the dominance, it's at 70%. Bitcoin dominance is already at 70%.
Oh wow.
So take that into consideration. We're Bitcoin heavy. Alts will fly once we get what happened once we get what happened last time, which is that big rejection. Well, we rejected last time. Like,
That's around this.
we rejected from 65.4%, and we dropped all the way to 62, and alts flew for like a week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were making double-digit gains every other day. Then, like expected, Bitcoin dominance bounced at the bottom at 60% and just rose back up now to 65. Hit 66%, pulled back down all the way to 65%, and then bounced again, hit 66%, and rejected one more time. So this could be the breakout to 66.01%, and then it could continue to climb.
Okay.
So we are not iffy, more so waiting for news to settle and see what's going to happen. There's a lot of ifs in the air. Tariff pause runs out soon that we had for those 90-day tariff pauses. That comes back on. It goes back if there's not more deals made. So it's going to be fun seeing what happens. Hard to say what's going to happen next. We would have to break above this new downtrend to continue our push up. But we do have quite a bit of resistance to make a new all-time high at those prior all-time highs and stuff. I would be sharing a chart, but I feel like if I did, Alex's computer would have a panic attack.
Potentially. That is.
We're working on him upgrading his equipment.
Yeah.
He's being slow.
The thing is, I'm looking at laptops and computers, and all the ones I want, they're literally not available. They're like, oh, Q3, Q4, next year.
We'll talk off air about this. I have questions.
It's like, this is irrelevant to the podcast.
Yeah. But that's what I see. Stocks are doing really well. Nvidia made a new all-time high.
Of course they did.
It's at 157. Coinbase almost at new it broke all-time highs. Now it rejected off of it, coming back down. Tesla holding well. Palantir is at 136. So stocks are moving. Things are going well. We shall see where we are next week and what changes have been made.
Have you seen and this is a bit of a tangent, Nvidia's like,
okay,
I think it's a spinal cord or backbone or
no,
it's a weird name, something along those lines. It's a like just a connection that they, like, physical cable that they created for connecting, I think it's like 73 different GPUs that they have for AI models, essentially. And the idea is to have all these different cores communicating at the same time. And so it stacks vertically, and it moves an insane amount of data per second. It's like a petabyte per second or something.
How much power does that take?
I don't know, but I think it's equivalent to like the entire internet's traffic type of thing. Like it was like a stupidly large amount.
my camera is also dying now.
All right, so let's wrap
By the
up
way.
then, because we got not much left to say.
This has been another week of your favorite crypto podcast,
Sometimes Crypto, the unscripted
the Unscripted
crypto podcast.
Crypto Podcast.
This guy.
Hey yo. Boom, boom, boom.